Every fortune has a story. The dangerous question is this: when yours is told, will it speak of grace or apology? You can gain the world and bankrupt your soul. Must it be that way? We chase money for reasons that sound reasonable: safety, freedom, dignity. Yet the chase can turn into chains. Longer hours, quiet compromises, a life that looks rich and feels poor. So we ask a question as old as Athens and as current as your bank app: can you become wealthy without losing who you are? But destiny had other plans for philosophy's easy answers. Ancient voices disagree, and their arguments cut deep. Let us walk with Socrates through the marketplace, with Aristotle through the balance beam of virtue, with Confucius toward honor, and with Max Weber into the iron cage of modern capitalism. Weigh their counsel. Test your life. Socrates, 5th century before Common Era, barefoot in the Athenian Agora, surrounded by things he never bought. He didn't condemn wealth, he interrogated it. What good is gold if it costs you virtue? His life was an answer. He refused fees to keep his speech free. He chose death over exile from himself. The examined life, not the expanded income, was his North Star. He asked questions that still sting. Do you own your possessions, or do they slowly own your choices? If wealth can purchase silence, whose truths will you stop telling? Was he really free? Or was freedom the one treasure he would never sell? Socrates believed the soul has a currency, integrity, scarcer and more precious than coin. He saw how money can hire praise by loyalty, even purchase a quiet conscience, but never wisdom. To seek wealth first is to put the lesser above the greater. To seek virtue first may bring the rest in its season. And yet Socrates left us a task, not a ledger. If gold is dangerous, is it always corrupting, or can skill and character tame it? Aristotle, the empiricist of common sense, draws us back to the heart of the matter. The aim is eudaimonia, a life that flourishes. Wealth, to him, is never the ultimate goal, but a tool, an instrumental good. It is necessary in the right measure, yet poisonous when in excess. Virtue, he insists, is not a gift, but a practice. Habits shaped in the right way, at the right time, for the right ends. He draws a crucial distinction between oikonomia, the natural art of managing a household and acquiring what is needed for a good life. In Chrematistics, the pursuit of money as an end in itself. The first is natural, bounded, and life-serving. The second is unnatural, limitless, and carries us to the very edge of an ethical precipice. In his world, a virtuous life moves with the rhythm of liberality, giving and spending wisely, avoiding both miserliness and waste. When fortune is abundant, it should express itself in magnificence, great resources serving great good. And in the highest register of character there is megalopsekia. It's a great solidness that makes noble use of wealth without ever being mastered by it. Yet Aristotle's question lingers. Was this delicate balance meant only for the privileged few? He warns us, too little wealth can enslave you, too much can blind you. The mean, the middle path is not mediocrity, it is mastery. Modern behavioral science, centuries later, seems to echo his wisdom. Once basic security is met, the happiness curve flattens. Beyond that point, envy grows, status chasing intensifies, and empathy begins to fade. The more we bow before the idol of more, the further we drift from the sense of enough. And from the East, a sharper question still pierces the air. What profit is there in wealth, if honor is lost? In the turbulent era of Zhou China, Confucius stood as a seeker of harmony in a fractured world. To him, wealth was not inherently evil, but it was never to stand above righteousness. Profit in his eyes must bow to the moral order. The Junzi, the exemplary person, was one who kept promises, placed duty above personal gain, and would rather eat coarse rice with integrity than feast in the shadows of shame. His call to rectify the names was a call to moral clarity. Name greed for what it truly is, without disguise. His philosophical heir Mencius sharpened this vision. Those who love wealth more than righteousness corrupt the state, he warned. To him, human nature carried the seeds of virtue, the sprouts of compassion, shame, deference, and discernment. These were not luxuries for the few, but capacities in all, waiting for cultivation. When nurtured, they placed wealth in its proper role, as a servant to life, not its master. Yet a question lingers. Is virtue something the poor can afford? What of families struggling to survive? Of ambition, striving to rise? The Confucian answer was steady. First order the heart, then the household, and only then the work that sustains you. If the pursuit of gain threatens your rights, your relationships, your duties, then walk away. For honor lost is the silent, hidden cost of profit. In this, East and West quietly meet. Wealth must be tethered to a moral horizon. And yet, in the modern age, a different engine has taken the lead. Then came Max Weber, a sociologist who set out to read the soul of capitalism. In the restless air of Reformation Europe, he found a new flame: Beruf, the idea of a calling. Work was no longer merely a means of survival. It became a sacred duty. The Protestant spirit brought with it an inner worldly asceticism, a disciplined restraint on desire. Thrift, reinvestment, punctuality, these became virtues as real as prayer, written not in scripture, but in the ledgers of daily life. And yet, Weber saw a paradox. An ethic born to honor God had inadvertently set loose a relentless drive for accumulation. But destiny had other plans. As the heat of faith cooled, the method endured. Habits of efficiency, thrift, and reinvestment no longer served a higher calling. They became the calling. The result, Weber warned, was the iron cage. A world where rational efficiency imprisons human ends inside means that now run on their own. The spreadsheet replaced the soul, and profit became its own justification. This raised unsettling questions. Did piety give birth to prosperity? Or was it the anxiety of salvation that sought proof in worldly success? And when belief faded, what invisible hand kept the gear spinning? For Weber, the answer was sobering. Habits ossified into systems, and systems became the world we inhabit. So the question remains, if the machine runs on without faith, can the individual still act ethically within it? Or does the cage, with time, begin to quietly shape the very desires of those it contains? Stoicism taught that wealth is a preferred indifferent, something that can be welcomed if it serves virtue, but is easily set aside if it stands in the way. Epicurus, once a slave, warned that whatever you cling to eventually owns you. Seneca, himself wealthy, yet wary of its grip, reminded us that the true measure of fortune lies not in what you possess, but in what you can lose without losing yourself. Epicurus took another path, yet his destination was similar. To him, true riches lay in having simple needs well met: friendship, freedom, and reflection. He urged us to distinguish between natural and necessary desires, such as health and companionship, and those that are vain and boundless, like status or endless luxury. For Epicurus, ataraxia, a tranquil joy, was both the highest good and far less costly than we imagine. Thomas Aquinas saw wealth as an instrument, never an end. Justice, he argued, required the just price in trade and condemned usury that fed upon another's need. In his vision, the ultimate purpose, the telos of wealth, was charity, the willing of the good for the other. Adam Smith, centuries later, believed that markets could channel self-interest toward the common good, but only when bounded by moral sentiments, sympathy, justice, and self-command. Without such virtues, the invisible hand could just as easily become a grabbing fist. In Buddhism, the teaching of right livelihood offered a different kind of balance sheet. Profit must never come from harm. Desire was seen as the root of suffering, and compassion, not accumulation, was the principle that could reorder the ledger of life. Across these diverse traditions, one note echoes again and again. Wealth must serve a greater good, or, left to itself, it will quietly diminish the very world it promised to enrich. Modern psychology brings data to old wisdom. Beyond a certain point, money buys time poorly and status anxiously. Generosity, on the other hand, consistently increases well-being. A sense of time affluence proves more valuable than material surplus, and yet success carries subtle traps. Moral licensing tempts the accomplished to excuse small wrongs, while power can dull the accuracy of our empathy. None of this is fate, but all of it is a kind of gravity that must be fought. So we find ourselves mid-ascent, asking, was this success worth the price? Who did I become in order to achieve it? What have my victories taught me to value, and what have they quietly taught me to ignore? The greatest challenge may not be earning a fortune at all, but ensuring that it does not, in the process, edit your soul. Here's a compass you can carry. It's 5 needles borrowed from traditions that refuse to trade truth for gold. First, motive, as Socrates would insist. Why are you getting rich? To gain the freedom to do the work that truly matters, or simply to buy applause? Name your purpose out loud. If you cannot, do not proceed. Second, means, in the spirit of Confucius and Mencius, how do you earn? Fuse any profit that requires you to disguise harm as strategy. Gain threatens your rights, your care for family, your promises, your employees, walk away. Third, measure, following Aristotle, what do you count? Track enough, not just more. Build generosity into your budget. Practice magnificence when the scale permits. Set ceilings as well as targets. So growth serves life, not the other way around. Fourth, impact, as Aquinas, Adam Smith, and the Buddha might agree. Who benefits and who pays? Seek just prices, humane supply chains, and right livelihood. Align your incentives so that doing well requires doing good. Fifth, margin, the wisdom of the Stoics and Epicurus. How lightly can you hold wealth? Design your life so that losing it does not mean losing yourself. Protect the simple joys and nurture friendships that are immune to the rise and fall of your net worth. These are not rules that shrink life, but a rhythm that enlarges it. And if you are already successful, the work only deepens. For wealth is a megaphone, and you must decide which virtues it will amplify. Socrates gave us courage, guard the soul. Aristotle gave us craft, practice the mean. Confucius gave us honor, righteousness before profit. Weber gave us warning, beware the cage. And that is why, even today, the world cannot forget their voices. Because every fortune leaves fingerprints. Yours can be clean. So, can ambition and virtue walk the same road? Yes, if virtue leads. Yes, if profit is servant, not God. Yes, if your story can be told in the light, without excuses, and your children can point to it and feel proud. Every fortune has a story. Make yours worth retelling. If this stirred you, continue the journey. Subscribe and share the compass with someone building something big.